Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this part 2 video, I'll take a step further with prompt engineering to try out more advanced prompting methods. This includes running some experiments on the tree of thought prompting framework, priming GPT models, and more reverse prompt engineering examples. If you haven't seen our part 1 video, do check it out in the description below. Otherwise, let's begin with priming. Now, priming is a method where a user chats with an AI model using a mix of questions, statements, or instructions before prompting for the final result. The goal of priming is to steer the AI's understanding and modify its behavior to fit a specific context of the conversation. By doing this, the AI model can better grasp the context of what the user expects, leading to better outcomes. Here is a quick analogy to help you better understand priming. Imagine you're a tourist visiting a new city. You have hired a tour guide to show you around. But instead of just saying, "Show me the city," you start off by telling the guide a little bit about yourself. You might say something like, "I love history and architecture, but I'm not really into shopping. I also like to try some local food." Now, this information that you're giving to the tour guide is like priming an AI. You're setting the context and guiding the tour guide's behavior to match your specific interests. The guide now understands better of what you're looking for and can tailor the tour to meet your expectations, focusing on historical sites, going to local restaurants, and probably even skipping all the shopping malls entirely. This will help the guide to go towards your interests even if you decide to go to another city. His recommendations will also steer towards your interests. Similarly for AI, conversations after priming will likely take into consideration of the information you have primed earlier. This sets the AI up to give you a really good output that is more likely to meet your expectations. Now, let's head over to our workstation to run some experiment on priming. In the following experiment, we are going to try out 3 different prompts starting from the basic prompt and then leveling them up with 2 levels of priming. So here is an example of a basic prompt that we're going to be using for this experiment. So our goal here is to write a short email pitch, right, to an existing client to attend a car launch event for a test drive. Alright, so let's see what the AI would be able to give us. So we are going to do it with GPT 3.5 model. Okay, so now the email is completed. It starts off with the context of this event, right? So it's really a very quick introduction of the particular event, just explaining what the event is about. So it's pretty much a very basic email. I think it's already not badly written. It's pretty good as it describes the basic elements of what is the event for and what is the user going to expect, right? What will the client expect when coming for this event? So it's a pretty straightforward email. Nothing fanciful, right? So that's for the first prompt, a very basic 0-shot prompt. Okay, so now we want to beef it up with some form of basic priming, right? So I'll be using this prompt that is a slight bit of an upgrade from the first prompt, all right? And we will open a new chat for this. So same thing, I'm going to use ChatGPT 3.5. All right, so the prompt goes something like, you're an experienced car salesman and your task is to create a short email pitch to an existing client to attend a car launch event for a test drive. All right, the client is a high net worth and write it in the style of Grant Cardone. So what's the difference between the first and second prompt is that the second prompt, we have primed the AI with some additional guidelines to take note of. Okay, so one of such is the new persona that we want the AI to assume, which in this case is an experienced car salesman. I've also specified the target audience and also the style of writing. So the target audience is an existing client, and this time around I added in an additional context of a high net worth, and of course in the style of Grant Cardone. So if for those of you who do not know who is Grant Cardone, he's a real estate investor and also a very renowned motivational and sales speaker, right? So he teaches people on sales strategies. Obviously, he has some form of renown. So I'm just going to get the AI to write it in his style, right? And let's see what the AI give us. Okay, so the second email is slightly a bit longer. Let's run through it very quickly, alright? So I hope this email finds you in the midst of a wildly successful day with opportunities raining down on you like gold coins from the sky. Today, I'm honored to extend personal invitation to an esteemed client of ours to an event that will redefine your perception of automotive excellence. Picture this, an opulent red carpet, blah, 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 blah. The exclusive car launch is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to witness a birth of automotive greatness. You, as our high net worth client, deserve nothing less than a front row access to the groundbreaking spectacle. I will unveil our masterpiece during the event. You have the privilege to experience this automotive icon firsthand. Imagine the acceleration as you glide behind the wheel, feeling the purr of the engine. Okay, so in the second email, I would say that is a little bit more descriptive as compared to the first one, although I didn't really quite like how it starts it off, right? Which is like, raining down gold coins from the sky. I think this analogy is a little bit weird, but in any case, it is still being more descriptive as compared to the first iteration, right? Of course, you can always rerun this prompt again. So a lot of times when you rerun it, sometimes it gets really bad and sometimes it gets really good. So it really depends, right? But in this case, the remaining of the email, I do find that it is more descriptive. They provide more punchier lines, and they also get you to sort of like imagine this, right? So it's like putting you in front of the event right now. So they focus a lot more on the experience rather than just a very normal email that tells you what the event is about and get you to just come by, right? So, they are very descriptive and they use a lot more stronger call to actions, right? So they get you to imagine, they get you to experience it even through the email itself. Okay, and of course, because we mentioned that it's high net worth, right? So I also do felt that it is more exclusive in terms of like the way they write it. So, I mean, the intent of the second email is definitely more catered towards a high net worth as compared to the first email. Yeah, I think the second email is not too bad. With just a little tweak of context, I think it's has further improved it, and it is more relevant to the target audience as compared to the first one that do not have a target audience. So, or rather the first one that has a target audience but is not descriptive enough. Okay, so let's try it out with the third example. We are going to just level up our priming to the second level. So instead of just going directly to the main generation, we are going to try using this pyramid approach to priming, right? So this way of priming involves starting with a smaller, more focused question to gauge the model's understanding of the subject, and then introducing a larger, more specific prompts to elicit increasing targeted response from the AI. Okay, so here's how we're going to do it. We're going to go through a series of questions for the AI, right? So I'm going to start a new chat using GPT 3.5 as well. We will start off with the very first basic question. Who is Grant Cardone? This is a really basic question to just set up and warm it up, right? So we want to just get an overview. We want to get the AI's understanding of who this person is. We want to know if the AI do actually have the information about this person in their training, right, in the data that they are trained on. Because as I mentioned earlier in our previous video, right, the AI data set that they are being trained off has a cutoff date of 2021. So sometimes if the person only grew to fame after 2021, then obviously the AI might not know who that person is. So by asking, basic questions is to start warming up the AI, just to get them to sort of iterate who this person is. And also at the same time, you will then be able to see whether the AI understands or knows who this person is, right? Okay, so the first question out of the way, let's go to the second question, which is more focused questions, right? We want to ask a slightly deeper question this time around, and that is something like, what are the key principles of Grant Cardone's sales strategies, right? So in this prompt, we're going to hone in on the specific sales strategies that Cardone is known for, so that we know, or we try to establish what is his unique approach to sales. Okay, so over here they give us 7 points. The first one is part of the book that he have written, right? And then massive action, no excuses, persistence, right? So it's just a very quick summary of all the different sales principles that Grant Cardone has. Okay, so with that, we will then move on to our third question, which is detailed questions. So we're going to ask the AI even more detailed question, right? So the prompt is as follows: what are the distinct characteristics of Grant Cardone's communication style, particularly in written form? So from what I know, from all the videos that I've watched on Grant Cardone, he's mostly on the phone, right? So he's doing a lot of cold calls, a lot of sales calls. I haven't really seen his emails or sales pitch in written format yet. So it is good to actually ask the AI what are the characteristics of Grant Cardone's communication style in written form, right? So that we can get the AI to start thinking of how Grant Cardone's sales strategies or communication styles can be converted into written format. All right, so let's run the prompt. Okay, so it has given us 6 points. Let's go through each and every point. Concise and impactful, right? Cardone's writing style is typically concise to the point. He aims to deliver his message in a clear and straightforward manner, okay? Only focuses on conveying ideas with maximum impact, right? And avoiding unnecessary fluff. Then high energy and enthusiasm. Grant Cardone's writing is categorized by high energy and enthusiasm, uses bold statements, exclamation marks, motivational language, and so on. Okay, repetition and reinforcement, all right? So he often uses repetitions as a rhetorical technique in his writing. He reiterates key points, ideas, or phrases to reinforce their importance, right? Persuasive tone, write it often in a very persuasive nature, and he employs persuasive techniques such as strong, confident language, appealing to emotions, showcasing benefits, and so on. Practical, action-oriented. Cardone's written content tends to focus on practical advice and actionable steps. He provides specific strategies, techniques, and tips that the reader can apply to their sales efforts or personal development. Okay? And of course, sense of urgency, right? So Cardone often takes sense of urgency in his writing, encouraging readers to take immediate action. He emphasizes on the importance of seizing opportunities, avoiding procrastination, and blah, blah, blah. Okay? So now we've gotten down all the distinct characteristics of his communication style. We move on to step 4, which is to get examples, right? So over here in this step, right, I want the AI to, based off these communication style that they have written, these 6 points, right, to generate an example of an email pitch. Okay, so obviously, I will not know whether this email pitch that they're going to write is really a reflection of Grant Cardone's communication style. But at the very least, because of the previous prompt, the 6 points over here, they should go along the line of these 6 points. Okay. Of course, if you have Grant Cardone's actual email pitches or actual emails, you could use that to prime the AI even further with those example emails, right? And that would more accurately give the AI context to Grant Cardone's tonality and style. Okay, so let's quickly run through this email, right? I hope this email finds you well and thriving in your sales endeavors. Wanted to reach out to you today. There's a very simple intro, straightforward intro. Okay, so again, they are using very powerful or impactful language, like don't settle for mediocrity, seize the opportunities. So it's a little bit like this point over here, right? Impactful messages, right? And also persuasive tone, strong and very confident language, appealing to emotions. So I think this email is pretty okay. So let's go with our last prompt, which is personalized or niche questions. So in these steps, we are going to go for the prompt with the actual final intent. So this is the prompt that we are going to use to generate that email that we want, right? So based on that, using our previous example, so imagine you're Grant Cardone, your task is to create a short email pitch to an existing client to attend a car launch event for a test drive. The client is a high net worth. All right, so let's see how it is. Okay, I trust that this email finds you in high spirits and enjoying rewards of your continued success. Today, I have an exclusive invitation that will ignite your passion for luxury automobiles and providing an exhilarating experience like no other. I'm thrilled to extend a personal invitation to you as one of our esteemed high net worth clients, okay, to an exclusive car launch event that will showcase the epitome of automotive excellence. This event promises to unveil a masterpiece of engineering, power, and opulence that will leave you in awe. Okay, so they are using more stronger words, right? So picture yourself at the forefront of automotive innovation, surrounded by a select group of discerning individuals who appreciate the final things in life. Okay, so again, it's using a lot of exclusivity to make this like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right? Prestigious event, privilege of experiencing this private test drive, allowing you to feel the acceleration and performance of this remarkable machine firsthand, right? Imagine the thrill of commanding the road with unmatched power. So again, you're using a lot of picture yourself, imagine the thrill, right? So a lot of more experience-oriented or point of view, right? You want to get the client to really feel it. You will gain exclusive insights to the design philosophy, meticulous attention to design. Okay, you're one of the most valued clients. Your presence at this event would truly elevate the evening and will make it an unforgettable experience. So they use this line, right, which I think is pretty good. And that is to really bring up the importance of the client's attendance, right? So by having the client to come by would really elevate the evening, right? Making it an unforgettable experience. So instead of saying that I will give you the unforgettable experience, you are now saying that by you coming, you will create for all of us an unforgettable experience. So it really brings out how important you think the client really is, right? And the client who is reading this email can actually feel that with this style of writing. Okay, and of course, high net worth, you know, what's more important than network, right? So network with a few connoisseurs, share your passion for extraordinary automobiles, forge connections. So yeah, I think it's a pretty well-written email as compared to the first two. I don't know about you, but I will probably leave these 3 emails into a documentation and I'll put it in the description below. You can be the judge for yourself whether email 1, 2, or 3 is much better and whether priming really did help in bringing out even more context to the AI to generate this kind of output that is way more powerful than the rest. I personally feel that the third email is a lot better as compared to the first 2. But then again, I really want you to just take note that these examples are just experiments, all right? I cannot vouch for the facts that the model has put out in all these emails, right? If you want the AI to really mimic Grant Cardone, it would be best to use exact emails from Grant Cardone himself and use that as example. So you can actually swap out this step 4. So in step 4, I've gotten the AI to generate an example of an email pitch, right? In this step, you can actually prime the AI by giving it examples, real examples of that person's works, right? It could be a book, it could be a passage, it could be an actual email that you receive from Grant Cardone. In fact, if you have those emails, you can just directly prime the AI model without having to go through all these whole bunch of series of questions, right? Basic questions, focus questions, and so on. You don't even need to do that anymore if you have examples, right? So essentially, priming is meant to breach knowledge gaps. We can use priming to assess the depth of knowledge that the AI model possesses about this topic, so about Grant Cardone, right? And then identify areas where the AI model's understanding may be limited or outdated. And then these allow us to provide additional information or clarify definitions to enhance the AI comprehension of this topic. Okay, so as I mentioned, currently the data set that GPT or ChatGPT is trained on is only until 2021. So facts might not be facts anymore. By priming, you will actually help you to discover whether is there a knowledge gap, and it can also allow you to breach this gap using newer information as examples. So do try it out, right? If you have a company, be it you're working there or you're the owner, right? Try using your brand guidelines, as a template. You can actually train it to give you comments on your guidelines and then generate content based on those guidelines, right? And you can see how by doing this way, right, you can save so much time on proofreading future content, or can save you so much time on creating new content, right, for your company. Okay, so that's for priming. We were going to be moving on to our next section, which is on problem solving. With priming out of the way, let's move on to our second section on problem solving. So one of the best use cases for AI models is to use them to solve complex problems. In our last video, we talked about using chain of thought prompting framework to solve mathematical problems. But what about problems that requires choices to be made? That's where the tree of thought prompting frameworks come into play. Now let me quickly explain what are the differences. Although the tree of thought and chain of thought are both AI problem solving frameworks, they do have very distinct differences. The tree of thought is structured like a tree. It explores multiple solutions simultaneously, excelling in tasks that requires creative thinking. It also allows backtracings to previous steps to create new and different pathways. Chain of thought, on the other hand, follows a linear chain-like path, refining the solution along the path step by step, but limiting exploration. In various problem-solving tasks, tree of thought has shown superior performance, achieving higher success rates and producing more coherent results. So in the next experiments, we will be exploring the tree of thought prompting framework to solve complex problems that require some form of decision making. We will be using the creative writing task that is also used in the tree of thought documentation that you can find in the description below. So here is how it works. So let's do an experiment as an example for tree of thought prompting framework. All right, we will be using the creative writing task that was also used in the tree of thought framework documentation. So again, the documentation is in the description below. Do visit it if you want to find out how it works. Right, so to make the experiment more exciting, we will compare one with a tree of thought prompt structure and one with a general zero-shot prompt. Okay, we're going to start it off with a zero-shot prompt using GPT 3.5. All right, so it goes something like that. Here's the problem. You're given the 4 following sentences. The sun sets over the horizon. She found a mysterious key in the drawer. The concert was a huge success. He finally solved the riddle. Your task is to write a coherent passage with 4 paragraphs, each ending with one of these sentences. All right, so let's run it. Okay, so there we have it. This is the zero-shot prompt version, right? So as the day grew close, a warm sun glow bathed the world, sunset over the horizon. So it didn't really get my meaning clearly, because I did mention your task is to write 4 paragraphs, each ending with one of these sentences. But in this case, the sunset over the horizon, it starts off at the beginning, right? So it's not the best way, but of course, sometimes prompts happen this way. You might just have to rerun it or change the prompt up a little bit, yeah? So paragraph 2, let us find our keyword is she found a mysterious key in a drawer, right? So she found herself exploring the depths of an old drawer. Contents concealed the secrets of untold story, patiently waiting to be discovered. With a curious gaze, she stumbled upon a mysterious key. So it's not really the sentence word for word, because we talk about she found a mysterious key in a drawer, right? But in this case, they didn't use the full word. They changed it to something like she stumbled upon a mysterious key. Okay, it's slightly different, but I think it's still pretty okay, right? So paragraph 3, let's see what's the keyword for paragraph 3. The concert was a huge success. Okay, the anticipation in the air was palpable as the concert hall filled to the brim with eager spectators. The stage was adorned with colorful lights. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Applause erupted, filling the air like thunder as the concert reaches its crescendo. So yeah, I don't really see that word. The concert was a huge success. They changed my word up a little bit. Okay, so paragraph 4, let's find our keyword again. Our keyword is he finally solved the riddle. Yep, so he finally solved the riddle. So it's over here. The keyword is over here. So again, it's not exactly what I told the AI to do. So that's for zero-shot prompt, right? So let's try it with GPT-4. I'm going to take the same problem and I'm going to rerun it with GPT-4 to see the differences in the model. I'll not be using any plugins over here. So let's run this. Okay, so let's run through this very quickly. I think the writing in terms of the story is much way better than the version 3.5. So GPT-4, I would say, is much more powerful. At the very least, they are following whatever that I'm requesting it to do, which is to write each of this sentence in the end of each paragraph, which it definitely did, right? The story also flow much better as well, right? They talk about the place, right? The quaint town, and then the sunset over the horizon. And in this town lived a woman named Lila. One day, she cleaned her grandfather's old study. She found the mysterious key, right? And then, meanwhile, in the heart of the town, there are some kind of summer concert going on. It describes the party, and it ended off with the concert was a huge success. So it goes on to saying, across this town, there's another young man named Tobias, and he's just solving some kind of cryptic words, right? Some kind of a puzzle, and he finally managed to solve the riddle. So, okay, the story, I would say it flows better, but it's still somehow disconnected because I guess these 4 sentences are really very much different. So you can see each start of the paragraph, they actually need to bring it across to another setting, right? See, so it starts off with a town and then it moves on to, okay, so at least the second one is within that town, right? And the third one is also in the heart of town, but it's in another area. So they are kind of like separating them into 4 different parts. But it's still good, right? It's pretty good. Okay, so the third example, we are going to be trying it with the tree of thought framework. But before I start the prompt, I'm going to start priming up the model a little bit. Also because tree of thought is quite a recent development and the current GPT model might not know what it is. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be using the GPT-4 plugin as your PDF. So for those of you who do not know what it is, plugins is right over here. Okay, sorry. Plugins right over here, and I can actually go down to ask your PDF and turn it on, and what this does is that I can upload my PDF in the Ask Your PDF website and specify the ID over here, so the ChatGPT is able to analyze that ID and based on that to read through the PDF and provide its summary and things like that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this plugin. I'm going to upload the PDF and get it to read from it and then ask GPT-4 to give us a detailed summary, right? From here, once the summary is generated, I can also ask it for examples. And then I'm going to put the question in. So what I'm going to do is like earlier in section 1 where I talk about priming, right? So I'm going to prime the GPT up a little bit. Okay, so let me start doing the uploads. Okay, so I have with me here is the tree of thought prompting documentation. And then I'm just going to upload it here. Okay, so here's the document ID. I'm just going to copy this document ID. I'm going back to GPT. Okay, so I'm in GPT-4 right now and I've already uploaded the PDF. So I have the document ID here. So I'm going to get the GPT-4 model to give me a summary. Okay, so I've just primed using the Tree of Thought PDF and get it to really just break it down what the entire PDF is about. So I'm guessing right now it should more or less know what Tree of Thought prompting is already. Hence, I'm just going to run the same prompt, but this time around, I'm going to get it to run through a thought process, okay, which is what this whole Tree of Thought framework is about. Okay, so it starts off something like that. The starting part of the prompt is the same. You're given the following sentence. So the steps are generate 3 different plans for the passage, considering how each sentence could be used to end a paragraph. Alright, evaluate each plan based on its potential to create a coherent and engaging passage that ends with the given sentence. Based on that plan, write the passage with 4 paragraphs, each ending with one of the given sentences. Okay, and let's try it out. Okay, so very quickly, right, what it does here is that you have given me 3 different plans, and the 3 different plans structured the sentence differently. So this plan 1 starts off with discovery of the key, so they kind of like rearrange the keywords according to a certain narrative, right? Hence, they came up with 3 different plans. This plan 1's narrative, this plan 2's narrative, and plan 3's narrative. They also provide me an evaluation. So the evaluation here is that, it says here, plan 1 offers a classic adventure narrative with a satisfying conclusion. Okay, plan 2 provides an intellectual journey with a surprise element of music, right? Plan 3 presents an interesting blend of music and mystery. While all 3 plans have potential, plan 1 seems to offer the most coherent and engaging narrative arc, with a clear progression from mystery to resolution. So they seem to have selected plan 1 as the best, hence they are writing the passage based on plan 1. Okay, so over here, Sarah has always been intrigued by the old wooden drawer in her grandmother's house. It's filled with trinkets and blah blah blah. So she pulled herself out and found herself holding an ornate mysterious key. She found a mysterious key in the drawer. Okay, so the key was unlike anything that she had seen before. It was adorned with strange symbols and engraving, and then spent days trying to decipher the symbols, and finally many sleepless nights she solved the riddle. The key was a map to a hidden treasure. So this sentence, he finally solved the riddle. The treasure was not gold or jewels but a beautiful ancient violin. Sarah, a gifted violinist, decided to play at the next concert. So she played at the next concert, right? And the concert was a resounding success, and Sarah hailed as a musical prodigy. So this paragraph is for the concert was a huge success. After the concert, Sarah returned to her grandmother's house. She sat on the porch, put a violin by her side. She watched the sunset. She felt the sense of peace and fulfillment. She had embarked on an unexpected adventure and came out triumphant. The sun set over the horizon. Also, although the sentence is not being used at the end, but at the very least, the whole story now flows really well, and each paragraph is linked to one another. It doesn't bring you to like different places, and then they reenact the whole narrative, right? So I would say this tree of thought prompt actually did work really wonderfully in this scenario, right? So yeah, I do feel that this is really good. I'm not sure about you, but again, I'll just put all this into a documentation down below together with the prompts so they can use them for your own experimenting as well. Okay, so I'm going to try another problem-solving template, similarly also using the tree of thought, right? But this time around, it's with more steps. Okay, so I'm just going to go to a new chat, go to GPT-4. I don't think I need any plugins unless I am going to prime it again, which in this case, I don't think we need to. Let's just try it this way. Okay, so same problem, same experiment, but this time around, I actually gotten the GPT to break down the tree of thought prompting into different steps and reverse engineer them into a template that I can use. So they have given me this 5-step process to run this prompt. Okay, so let's run this and see how it works. Okay, well, it's generating, right? Let me just go through the steps very quickly. Okay, so it's the same problem, right? I want the AI to use all these 4 sentences in a coherent passage, right? Or 4 paragraphs, and then each ending with one of these sentences. Okay, so step 1 is I'm getting the AI to generate thoughts. So what the AI will do is to identify all potential problem solutions and approach the problem. And then step 2 is to evaluate these thoughts, right? So I'm getting it to generate thoughts, and now I'm going to evaluate these thoughts and see, which are the potential thoughts that's the most effective. Okay, so I'm going to get the AI to ask itself, like, what are the most potential outcome of each approach? Which one seems promising, right? Then after that, on step 3, I'll get the AI to select one of these thoughts. Right, choose the most promising one, right? They can lead to a solution. So ask yourself, which approaches should I explore further? Then step 4 is to generate next level thoughts. So for each selected thought, generate more specific action and steps, right? These could involve breaking down a solution into smaller steps, considering different variations on the approach. Then ask yourself, what specific actions or steps could I take with this approach? Okay, so it's one step ahead to think further on the thoughts that it has generated. Okay, then rinse and repeat, right? So it's going to repeat doing that until it reaches to a solution. And of course, backtracking is just that if the thought that is selected, it doesn't lead to that solution, right? It will just go back to the previous steps. Okay, so here are the thoughts that it generate. The first one is that I could construct a single storyline that include 4 sentences. This requires careful planning and sequencing to ensure that the story flows naturally from one sentence to the next. I could write 4 independent stories, each ending with the respective sentence. This requires creativity but allows greater flexibility. I could connect all the sentences using a theme or a common character across the paragraphs. Okay, I could use a combination of these approaches. For example, having 2 connected and each spanning to 2 sentences. And right now, evaluate these 4 steps, right? These 4 different thoughts, right? So a single storyline provides a more coherent and continuous narrative, but it might be challenging to seamlessly incorporate all sentences. Okay, writing independent stories provide flexibility but might lack coherence when viewed as a single passage. Using common theme or character brings element of unity to each passage, but each sentence might not feel like a natural ending for each paragraph. Combining these approaches gives both coherence and flexibility but requires careful planning to ensure a natural flow. So then, based on that, it's now taking a step deeper on the thoughts that it has produced. After evaluating, I find option 1 and 4 promising. Option 1 because it would result in a single coherent narrative. Option 4 because it combines the benefits of other options that could lead to a unique, engaging passage. Okay, so now to generate the next level thoughts, right? For the single storyline, I could create an outline that includes the 4 sentences, then build a story around this outline. Okay, pretty good. For the combination of these approaches, I could brainstorm 2 themes or 2 sets of characters that could fit with 2 sentences each, then intertwine these stories in an engaging way. Okay, and step 5 is repeat. I will need to flesh out these next level thoughts more, but at this stage, it will appear promising and worth exploring further. I'll evaluate them once I develop them more fully. I don't see them viable and return to step 1 to generate new thoughts, okay? And then for backtracking, it says here that if neither approach works out as planned, I'll go back to the drawing board, revisit thoughts that I initially select. For instance, I might consider writing 4 independent stories or connecting the sentences through a common theme or character. Okay, so you see how it starts to think one step to the next, right? So let's go with the combination of approaches, right? Okay, so now the story becomes somewhat more different, right? So I've gotten it to use the second option, which is option 4, basically. Option 4, but in this case, is the combination of 2 approaches, brainstorm 2 teams and 2 sets of characters that could fit the 2 sentences together, right? And then intertwine these stories in an engaging way. Okay, so the story goes like, in a small coastal town of Coral Haven, young Amelia spent her days, blah, 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 blah. So it says that holding her breath, she inserted the key, and to her astonishment, it fit perfectly. So she found a mysterious key in the drawer. So she found the key. That was the kind of like the keyword, right? And then the contents of the drawer were all letters, right? So Amelia spent the following days deciphering the riddles, and then days turns to weeks and months, and her determination did not waver. After she finally saw that everyone else had missed. With a triumphant smile, she whispered to herself, I've done it. He finally solved the riddle. So the he here is by right should be a she. So because it's Amelia, right? So somewhat a little bit incorrect over there, right? But it's pretty good because the story flows very well. Then in another part of town, the local band, the Mariners, were preparing the biggest concert yet. The band member, all friends of Amelia, noticed her absence during the practice session, but knew she was on to something important, right? So they dedicated their upcoming performance to her adventurous spirits, hoping to draw her out from her seclusion, right? So the hard work paid off. The night was filled with laughter, cheer, foot tapping music, and the concert was a huge success. Inspired by the band's dedication and town support, Amelia decided to share a discovery with everyone. She led them to a cliff overlooking an ocean to reveal a long secret of Coral Haven, a treasure of knowledge and history about their ancestors. Okay, so they watched the sunset, right? So it was not only a celebration of the key they discovered, but also the adventurous spirits of their young friend who led them to it. And the day ended as they watched in awe and say, what a sight, the sun set over the horizon. So yeah, the story became even better after running through this series of prompts. So that's how powerful the tree of thought prompting is, right? It's able to self-think and based on whatever they think to have a deeper thought and evaluate further, right? Which is, I would say, way more powerful than the chain of thought prompting. Okay, so with the same template above, right, we can actually run any problems using this method, right? So I'm just going to try the same method, right? Using the same method to run for another problem. Okay, so I'm going to run this prompt as an example. I'm going to use the same method, okay, but this time I'm going to change up the problem a little bit. It's going to be my first time running this as well. So my girlfriend snores loudly at night and it's affecting my sleep. Some nights it's so loud that I can't even fall asleep. But I love her so much that I can't bear to tell her as I'm afraid she might be affected by it. Tell me how I should communicate with her in the best possible way. Okay, so here's a problem and let's see if the tree of thought method is able to help us solve this problem. Okay, so here it is. It gives a couple of suggestions, right? Number 1, discuss the issue directly with your girlfriend, record the snoring and show her as evidence. Okay, that's pretty funny, right? Then address the snoring issue indirectly by suggesting a general health improvements. That's pretty good, right? So it's like redirecting the issue via some other health improvements way, right? And then suggest that she sees a doctor or a sleep specialist, invest in a noise cancelling headphone for yourself. Okay, that's pretty good as well. Find alternative sleeping arrangement, suggest lifestyle changes that might reduce snoring, such as weight loss, reduce alcohol consumption, and different sleep positions. Right? Look into snoring aids like nasal strip, special pillows, or CPAP machine. I don't really know what's that, but yeah, there's some pretty good ideas. All right. Then step 2, evaluate thoughts. Discussing the issue directly may be difficult for the conversation. So right now it's evaluating each of the points, right? But it's honest and open up possibilities for solutions. It may also make your girlfriend self-conscious and embarrassed. Okay, so to the second thought, right, recording the snoring can provide concrete evidence, but it could be seen as an invasion of privacy. Yeah, so I think the second one would be really hilarious to look at, right? I mean, you showing your girlfriend the evidence of her snoring, I think she would be pretty upset too, right? So suggesting general health improvements is a less confrontational approach, but might not address the root cause of snoring. Okay, urging her to see a sleep specialist could provide a professional solution, but might cause anxiety. Noise cancelling headphones could solve the problem for you, but don't address her snoring issue Alternatively, sleeping arrangement could give you better sleep, but could also lead to emotional distance. Okay, yeah, that's true. Suggesting lifestyle changes could be beneficial overnight, but might be seen as criticism or be hard to implement. Okay, snoring aids might help, but also might not be comfortable or expensive. Okay, so let's select the thoughts, right? Discuss the issue directly with your girlfriend. Okay, address the snoring issues indirectly by suggesting. So it's out of the 8 thoughts, it select this 4. Okay, and then of course the next level thoughts. All right, so plan the conversation where you express your love and concern first by emphasizing the effect on your sleep rather than criticizing her snoring. Okay, that's a good way, I think. Okay, then suggest general health habits that can improve sleep, such as better diet, exercise, less alcohol, and avoid sleeping on the back. Okay. Encourage her to see a sleep specialist by emphasizing that snoring can be a sign of sleep apnea. I don't know what's this. Seems like a condition, right? It can have serious health implication. Okay, recommend specific lifestyle changes like losing weight, if applicable, reducing alcohol intake, or trying to sleep in different positions. Okay, so I think the next level thoughts, I would say the first plan is pretty good. I actually like the third plan a lot, right? Because you are very subtly trying to tell her about or getting her to be conscious about her snoring problems. But at the same time, it's not very invasive, right? You are just letting her know out of concern of her health implications, right? Which is good, right? So I like the third one better. Okay, so then obviously the fifth one is not going to it's not going to tell me anything unless I continue prompting. So now you see this tree of thought prompting, right? It really helps solve problems as well. So if you want to use the tree of thoughts, I have also put this template into a document in the description below, which you can access it and use this template whenever you want. So we finish up our tree of thoughts here. We are going to go to our third section, which is on reverse engineering. So when it comes to reverse engineering, you see these prompts that I've generated. Basically, I didn't create all these prompts myself, to be honest. These prompts are generated from ChatGPT. So there's a way where you can prime the GPT model to reverse engineer and provide you prompt templates so that you can use it for many different other situations or scenarios, right? So yeah, let's get started with the section 3, which is on reverse prompt engineering. So now that we have run through tree of thought prompts, we move on to our next sections on reverse prompt engineering. So what is reverse prompt engineering? Well, reverse prompt engineering is basically to reverse engineer a prompt that is trained on certain best practices or guidelines. We then get the AI to generate a prompt template based on those best practices, which can be used universally on other situations. In other words, we are just getting ChatGPT to generate prompts for us based on certain best practices and guidelines. Now, let's run some examples to better illustrate this. Okay, so I'm going to start demonstrating how I reverse prompt engineer to get a prompt template for our tree of thought framework earlier. So what we're going to do here is we are going to start off by using ChatGPT to prime the AI to make sure that they really understood what tree of thought is. So earlier on, I have shared one way is to use plugins and use this plugin called Ask Your PDF, right? So there are a couple of ways to do it. If you have someone explaining a video about it, you can use VoxScript, right? You can ask your PDF. You can even use things like WebPilot. So right now I think it's unavailable, but WebPilot is able to read URLs. Seems like it's unavailable now, so I'm not too sure whether it's able to then run my URLs or not, but let's try, right? In any case, ask your PDF, WebPilot, and I do sometimes also turn on keymate.ai, which goes into the web browser and search Google results. Okay, so these 3 plugins, right? So what I'm going to do here is firstly, I'm going to put in the document ID, which I've uploaded earlier. And I'm going to say like, after reading this, give me a detailed summary of, just give me a detailed summary, alright? So one more thing to take note is that you can actually use this way to study, right? So if you're learning a new language, you're learning a new skill, you can always use all these plugins to help you summarize and also get it to only give you or to highlight the important points that can be used for application. So it's actually pretty powerful, right? Maybe I'll do another video on that in the future. Alright, so the second prompt is going to be something like that, right? So I got another URL, Holy Grail of AI prompts from generative.ai.pub, which is another article regarding tree of thought. So I'm just going to get it to read it. So WebPilot seems to still be working. It's just that it's unverified. I don't know why that happens, but I hope it's able to. One more thing is that you can actually open this up to see how they run it, right? So you can see that they are actually breaking up the document into chunks and reading it. Okay, same for the ones over here. Okay, but in any case, I'm going to skip that and I'm just going to scroll all the way down. Okay, so it has successfully give me a summary. I'm going to try this last one, right? And I'm going to do the same. Okay, and then I'm going for my next prompt, which is to get the AI to provide me examples on the TOT framework that can be applied to problem solving. Okay, so I'm getting it to refer back to the top 3 content. Okay, so you've given me some examples that they have taken from the 3 documentation, which is the mathematical reasoning, which is game of 24, the creative writing task that we have actually used it as our example in section 2 for our tree of thought prompting, and strategic decision making. So they have a couple of examples here. Let's get it to maybe provide a real world example using the TOT framework. Okay, so while I'm prompting, right, I always like to get examples from the model, the AI, and that's because, by doing so, right, I am able to firstly use these examples that they have generated as context for my next final prompt. So you just need to understand that in AI, right, whatever output they have generated can all be used as context. So I'm just getting it to generate something and use that generated output as part of the context for it to generate my final prompt. So I always like to get an example right before my final prompt. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to get it to give me the reverse prompt or the prompt template. So let's try this out. Okay, so as you can see, right, the template that they've given me is very, very different. Imagine you're a group of experts discussing a problem, then they are using a variable here. Okay, let's try this out and see if it actually works. Go to GPT-4, I'm going to paste this in. Right, so what it says here is, imagine a group of experts that are discussing a problem, and then they do a variable with curly brackets problem statement. Each expert will generate a potential solution thought that explain their reasoning. All the experts have shared their thoughts that evaluate each other's solutions based on the criteria with curly brackets. Then the experts will then vote for the best solution. If any experts realize the solution is not feasible at any point, they will withdraw their solution and support others. The discussion begins now. Okay, alright, let's try this out with GPT-4. I'm going to paste back my code, and I'm going to do something like, and also my criteria. So I need to actually fill in these 2 things over here, right? Okay, let's try out this, right? So I want to just make sure that the criteria is to really ensure that the keywords end with one of the 4 sentences. Alright, so let's run it. Okay, so it still works, right? So expert 1 here is expert in creative writing, right? So he proposed this passage. So basically, she found herself lost in view, time slipping away until the sunset over the horizon. Okay, with the onset of the evening, her heart pounded. She looked at the unfamiliar object. She found a mysterious key in the drawer. Okay, so in the small town, weekends were a time for enjoyment and festivities. Blah 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 blah. To everyone's delight, consolation, success. Okay, coming back home, she held the found key, trying to decipher its purpose, and he didn't know, and he finally saw again the he and she problem. And then, honestly, the 3rd paragraph, which talks about the concert, this is kind of like a disconnection here. Okay, so creative writing expert, I'm sorry, it's a good attempt, but it's not exactly what I've requested. Okay, expert 2, linguist. As John sat on the bench, he noticed a small glint at his feet. So he found a mysterious key in a drawer. Okay, drawn in by the enigma. John decided to attend the concert. The concert was a success, and he returned home with newfound information. Spending the next few days engrossed in local history and myths, his persistence payoff has finally solved the riddle. Okay, sitting quietly in the home, he looked out the window, reflecting events of the past day as he held the key. Okay, so the linguist actually did a pretty good job, honestly. So it feels like this story is pretty well written. It's connected, right? All 4 paragraphs are connected, and the keywords are all at the end of the sentence, right? So good one. So expert 3, narrative psychologist, really fanciful. So Emma took a stroll. Today she found a mysterious key in the drawer. Decided to investigate, explore old building. She put the pieces together. She finally solved the riddle. News of Emma's detective work spread through town. As a result, the upcoming concert decided to incorporate a tribute to her. The music, blah 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 blah. To no one's surprise, the concert was a huge success. Right? As the town returned to its quiet routine, excitement of the concert reflected. Okay, so the 3rd story is actually pretty good as well, right? It's short and sweet, plus all the keywords are there at the end of the sentence, right? Again, the he, she is a problem, but in any case, the story flow very well. I think it's pretty good, right? So the expert discussed the solutions. They all agree that each solution is creative, maintains a coherence of the narrative, and correctly ends each paragraph with a given sentence. After a vote, they decided that the first solution proposed by the creative writing is the best, achieves the objective not only defeats the sentence similarly, but also construct a narrative of a full intrigue and mystery. Okay, I do agree. Creative writing expert number 1 do have a better story because there's mystery, but I do feel that the third paragraph here is a bit disconnected. Whereas the expert 3 one, although the story is very basic, but it achieves everything that I want. So of course this is subjective based on you again, but what we're trying to prove here is that the reverse prompt actually worked, right? So this prompt here that they have generated for us, the reverse prompt, actually did work. You can feel free to run this any point in time for any other problem solving. You could run it for the snoring issue that I have suggested earlier, and I think it would just do the same to solve the issue. So that's how it works, right? You could reverse prompt through certain priming methodologies, and then you can get it to give you the universal prompt template. So my prompts over here, you can change it up as how you like it to be. Right, it doesn't have to be in these exact words, but obviously you will need it to create a prompt template, so that would be the main keyword that you need to have. Apart from that, do try it out, right? You can also do it with other guidelines. This method can work for any generative AI, and that includes your mid-journey prompts, but obviously you need to prime it, so you will need to find documentations of how can you properly prompt in mid-journey or stable diffusion, right? And once the AI understands it, you can get it to give you examples and then reverse prompt again, and then generate that prompt template for you. Okay, so this is how it is. I think it's a really good skill to have. Do try it out yourself. I hope you find this video useful. That concludes for today. Of course, again, if you find my video useful and helpful, do thumbs up and subscribe. In my next video, I might just be doing ChatGPT plugins, or I might just run the code interpreter and show you some experiments, right? So stay tuned and stay safe.